story.
Well, and speaking of story endings, election day is on Monday. Advance polls open today at 9 a.m., but nobody knows for sure what the outcome will be. It might be very close when deciding a winner. So to have a little bit of fun, thought we'd bring in celebrity numerologist Michelle Arbeau to help us read the proverbial tea leaves. Welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. So let's talk about numerology. For those who might not be familiar with it, what is it?
Well, the numbers, I mean, that's, it's an age-old system. Pythagoras was supposedly the father of numerology, right? But to kind of break it down in more practical terms, the numbers could be thought of as more like spiritual DNA. So where the body, our DNA says what color our hair is, our eyes, how tall we'll be, the numbers represent more of our soul's DNA. So we can look at the numbers to really say, okay, what characteristics and traits do we have? What qualities do we have to work with in life? And what weaknesses we might have?
And the numbers are like, is it like just birth dates, or is it a whole series of numbers?
Well, the main number we work with is the date of birth. It's almost like you could say, okay, what point within the energetic cycles that make up the world were we born in? So our date of birth kind of represents that. So that kind of dictates who we are, and what we're meant to do in the world, and what we came with, what kind of qualities and traits we have to work with.
Okay, so you actually analyze the numbers of the party leaders.
Yes.
Very curious to hear what you came up with.
Well, Danielle Smith, of course, is the one to watch. She's been kind of, the one where we always wait to hear what she's going to say next, because it's always something fun and interesting. But, she's missing all of the emotional numbers. So, with that, it doesn't mean she has no soul. Absolutely not. It's actually the opposite. She's very hypersensitive on the emotional level. And what that does, it causes a little bit of what I like to call foot and mouth disease sometimes, because you kind of get a disconnect between, the mind and the heart. So they tend to box up their heart, and when they do that, they come across as a little bit socially awkward sometimes. But, she is a 5. Her main essence, the sum of her date of birth is a 5. So she's very compassionate because it's the number of the heart. So she means well. It's just that sometimes she comes across as a little bit, but it's fun. I think she's very passionate. So, if she were elected, I think she'd bring a little bit of fun and passion to the table. Right?
Okay. How about Alison Redford? What are the numbers around Alison Redford telling you?
She's very intellectual based. She's got all 3 of the mind plane numbers. So very practical, very smart. She could potentially outwit, outsmart, and outlast the competition, right? So she's very all up in her head. So it's a very stark contrast between the two.
Interesting. And what about kind of the lower end candidates in the kind of popularity scale? We have Brian Mason with the NDP, and we have Raj Sherman of the Liberals.
Well, Sherman is, he has a little bit of the qualities of both Smith and Redford. He's got a lot of mental plane numbers, but also lacking all 3 of the emotional. So he, he's kind of a fun one to watch to see what he says next too. He's got a couple of remarks in there that are kind of So he's got that going on too, and he's always got some sort of remark to come back with. Very creative. He's got double 6s, so very always stuff churning in there. So he's another fun one to watch for sure.
Interesting. Okay, so without I guess going out on too much of a limb, what do you think, numerologically speaking, who do you think, I suppose, will be the happiest on Monday night?
Well, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to go there, but I do want to say, what do Albertans really need? Do they need passion or practicality? Because, of the 4 candidates, we've got half that are very passionate and half that are very practical. So what do we really need with the whole financial crisis? Those kinds of things kind of looming large. What do we really want, and what do we really need?
Interesting.
Well, it'll be a tight race, and those all line up very much, I think, with
I
what
would
we've
agree,
seen.
Based on my chats with the 4 leaders. Yeah, for sure.
Michelle, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
The numbers that will matter, certainly people going to the polls, and a number of cars on the road. Hopefully traffic not too bad this morning, Dave.